The Femme Fatale is a character archetype of an alluring and mysterious woman able to manipulate her marks through charm and seduction, often to the ruin of other parties. And if you're throwing a party, invite some Femme Fatales because they're super cool, evidenced by how far their influence extends over many facets of art and culture. Their web includes mythology, literature, movies, and importantly, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. Keep your wits about you and your eyes on your life points, because this list is full of Yu-Gi-Oh's top 10 Femme Fatales. Usually she shows up around the end of things, but today, Ruin, Queen of Oblivion, is the first monster we're talking about, taking the number 10 spot on this list. A level 8 light fairy ritual monster with 2300 attack and 2000 defense from 2006 Shadow Infinity set, Ruin embodies the dualistic nature of the Femme Fatale, who is both enticing and dangerous. When Ruin destroys a monster by battle, she can declare a second time. This effect is nifty, but unlikely to swing games at 2300 attack, and not the reason that Ruin makes this list. Let's take a step back and look at the rest of her story and the other cards in her series. There's the ritual spell that summons her, End of the World, which is pretty ominous. But it gets even better. Demise, King of Armageddon, is a level 8 ritual fiend that can destroy every other card in the field at the cost of 2000 life points. There's not a lot of mystery once Demise takes the field. His destruction is evident and widespread. But look at the murky figure that looms behind Ruin in her card art. She is the Queen of Oblivion, and her shadow is Demise. According to the lore presented by Master Duel, these entities are two sides of the same coin, and together they catalyze the process of cosmic destruction and creation. Demise is the breaker, and Ruin brings the relief of gentle annihilation, clearing the stage for Eternity's next production. Neither kind nor cruel, Ruin, Queen of Oblivion's work is both cataclysmic and merciful. She has both a younger and more powerful form, which are Ruin, Angel Oblivion, and Ruin, Supreme Queen of Oblivion. Like in her base form, the Shadow of Armageddon always lurks behind her, and all of the infant world she helps prepare will host her again someday, on or near the last one. Interestingly, Ruin's multi-attack is actually a callback to another apocalyptic duo, Blackluster Soldier and Void of the Beginning. Likewise, Demise board clear is clearly reminiscent of Chaos Emperor Dragon and Void of the End. But implications exist within the Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe that Ruin's power is actually greater than even her supreme form lets on. Meet Queen of Fate, Eternia. If you haven't heard of this card before, that's probably because it's not legal to play because it's one of the match winners. If you take your opponent's life points to 0 with this card, you immediately take the entire best of 3 match. A level 8 light fairy, Eternia's stat lines are very similar to Ruin's, with only 100 more attack. And that's not where the similarities end. They weirdly have similar staffs, and have similar aesthetics. What's more, the background art carries some of the same notes as Ruin, Queen of Oblivion, and also Divine Grace North Wemco, who is also the light counterpart of a world-ending royalty. The final card with possible thematic relation to Ruin, Queen of Oblivion, and Queen Fate Eternia is the spell, The Beginning of the End. The rune patterns of this card suggest a closeness with both Ruin and Eternia, and the ambiguity here is actually quite important. Almost always, depictions of the Femme Fatale are aloof and mysterious. She has secrets we may never parse, and this is foundational to the blended allure and risk that make her so compelling. But for all of her femme fataleness, Ruin, Queen of Oblivion was never the most impactful Yu-Gi-Oh card, but that actually makes her doubly good for number 10. She both embodies the theme of this video and leaves the path open for cards with more to speak on competitively. And swooping in to claim the number 9 spot is Cyber Harpie Lady. This level 4 Wind Attribute Winged Beast has 1800 attack and 1300 defense, and was first distributed as a promo during sneak peek events for the Flaming Eternity set in 2005. Cyber Harpie Lady, or as she's called in all situations, Harpie Lady, is one of Yu-Gi-Oh's poster cards. Technically, she's an effect monster, but her only effect is to go by a different name. Interestingly, and this has no impact on the game, Cyber Harpie Lady is one of the only effect monsters to have its entire effect in parentheses. Anyway, Cyber Harpie Lady is an upgraded form of the original vanilla Harpie Lady, which has no effect and 1300 attack and 1400 defense. There are other evolved Harpie Ladies, including 1, 2, and 3, and an entire archetype of Harpies that could all fit the qualifications for this list. But we're going with Cyber Harpie Lady for one important reason. She's the edgiest of them all. Her 1800 attack stat is a nod to the Cyber Shield equip spell, which increases the attack of a targeted Harpie Lady by 500 points, and is worn by Cyber Harpie Lady in her card art. so that card is like an innate combination of these two. Cyber Harpie's Femme Fataleness is derived largely from her appearance in the Duel Monsters anime, where she was used by pro-duelist Mai Valentine. During the Duelist Kingdom art, Mai was a bit of a femme fatale herself, using her looks to disarm opponents like Rex Raptor, and further putting opponents off balance by pretending to be a psychic, using perfume to identify her cards without looking at them. The actual implications of this was somewhat confusing, but hey, I guess that too adds to its mystique. The Harpie ladies were a good mirror for Mai's femininity, and their seemingly low attack was all part of the trap. Cyber Shield and Rose Whip made them stronger, and Elegant Egotist flooded the field with Harpies. Part of Mai's story arc in Duelist Kingdom is allowing herself to be vulnerable by forming bonds with Yugi in the gang, and trusting her own strength as a duelist without the extra insurances of tricks. To reflect this, going into the Battle City Finals during the next season, we see that Mai has incorporated a new archetype into her strategy, the Amazonas. In contrast to the Harpies, which revolved around baiting and swarming unprepared opponents, the Amazonas cards focus on taking the enemy down in the battle phase. While these new cards are symbolic of Mai's growth as a character, it's important to note that she hasn't let go of the parts of herself that resonate with the Harpie ladies. She's still a ferocious duelist, and opponents who mistake her feminine nature for weakness are in imminent danger of defeat. Looking at you, Hollywood actor Jean-Claude Magnum. And at number 8, we have a monster so coy and elusive that, as the time of the script writing, she hasn't yet been slated for release in the TCG. Chaotic Allure Queen is a level 7 light spellcaster with 1500 attack and 1500 defense, and is a retrain of the hugely unsuccessful Allure Queen level monsters. Honestly, all of the Allure Queens are very femme fatale coded, but luckily, thanks to recent releases in the OCG, we have something a little more interesting to discuss than just Allure Queen level 7 from 2006 Cyberdark Impact set. The Allure Queen monsters, as they were printed years and years ago, are pretty hard to work with. Allure Queen level 3 can target an opponent's monster and steal it as an equip spell, but only if that monster is level 3 or lower. Then, during your next standby phase, if your equipped Allure Queen is still around, you can swap it out for Allure Queen level 5, a monster which isn't much better. In fact, it's almost exactly the same card, except it has 500 more in each stat for a baffling bad round 1000, but can at least equip a monster that's level 5 or lower, which is easier to limbo under than level 3. Then, if your level 5 Allure Queen somehow survives and retains its equip, you can trade out for Allure Queen level 7, which only has 1500 attack and defense, but can target and equip a monster of any level, which is nice. And while that's all pretty suboptimal, Chaotic Allure Queen actually makes huge strides at course correcting this laughable archetype. She can summon herself from hand by discarding a light or dark monster, and once she's on the field, you can target a monster in either grave and take it as her equip, with her name changing to that of the exhumed monster until the end phase. This is pretty cool in that it gives you options. You can steal a valuable monster from your opponent's grave, and if you equip a light or dark monster, you'll gain access to the final part of Chaotic Allure Queen's effect. With a light or dark equip, Chaotic Allure Queen can summon a dark attribute Allure Queen monster from the deck or grave. By summoning Allure Queen level 7, you've got materials set up for a rank 7 play, while setting up your grave for further chaos plays down the line. But there's actually more, because if you happen to equip Allure Queen level 5, Chaotic Allure Queen will perform its summon after mirroring the equip's name, meaning that Allure Queen level 7 will be able to use its steal effect. This effectively makes Chaotic Allure Queen plus Allure Queen level 5 a 2-card rank 7 combo, with removal that doesn't use your normal summon, and both cards are searchable by Allure Dance and Allure Palace. 2 cards that will presumably make their way from the OCG alongside Chaotic Allure Queen and the new Link boss monster Golden Allure Queen. A previously unassuming and nigh unsearchable archetype of alluring women might just pop off and seduce your monsters into defecting to become effectless equip spells. And Yu-Gi-Oh! The Femme Fatale is alive and real, and coming for your life points, so watch out. When you see a bounty posted for the number 7 card on this list, you best keep walking, because Diabellstar the Black Witch is one dangerous femme fatale. Releasing in the 2023 set Age of Overlord, this level 7 dark spellcaster has 2500 attack, 2000 defense, and a chokehold over the competitive TCG. This is, of course, understandable given her absurdly powerful effects, all of which are limited to once per turn. However, that's not much of a constraint on the sheer amount of plays you can make with this card. By sending one card you control from your hand to the graveyard, Diabellstar can special summon herself from hand. This is already decently good, since extending into a level 7 at will is pretty desirable. But as any veteran of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG in 2024 will tell you, as they look into the distance with a haunted stare, Diabellstar can do more. Upon normal or special summon, Diabellstar can set a Sinful Spoil spell or trap card directly from your deck. There are some cool options here, but your preferred target will often be the quick play spell, Original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye. This spell can be activated by sending a face-up card you control to the graveyard, and allows you to search a level 1 fire monster from deck. This alone is pretty good, because the Snake Eye archetype is mostly comprised of level 1 fires with powerful effects, like Snake Eye's Poplar, which can summon itself on search, and search another Snake Eye spell or trap on summon in the same turn. But wait, if you hold your copy of Original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye for just a second, you can trigger Diabellstar's final effect. When she's sent from hand or field to the grave during your opponent's turn, she can revive herself by sending another card from hand or field to the grave, and reactivating her on-summon search when she does. The applications for a card like Diabellstar are as broad as decks that can use level 1 fires, and you can even catch your opponent off guard with generic counters that just so happen to incidentally meet Diabellstar search criteria, like Kurikara Divicarnate. But onto what makes her a Femme Fatale. In a complex tapestry of card lores to rival Yu-Gi-Oh icons like Gaga Gigo and DD Warrior Lady, the story of Diabellstar the Black Witch weaves through tales of magic forests, renegade goblin bikers, Lithuanian snake mythology, and ascensioned magical artifacts. Diabellstar's place at the center of all these narratives on her quest for power makes her an incredible Femme Fatale. There are secrets in the world, ancient items and magic, and they will belong to Diabellstar. She's the outlaw witch, named for America outlaw Belle Starr, making her a bona fide Femme Fatale Belle. And while we're on the topic of original sin, let's get a little more demonic with it. Darklord Ixchel falls down from the Sanctuary in the Sky to number 6 on this list. A level 10 Dark Fairy with 2500 attack and 2900 defense, Darklord Ixchel releases part of the 2016 Destiny Soldier set, and occupies an interesting place amongst Yu-Gi-Oh's pantheon of deposed angels. Aesthetically, Ixchel is one of the few Dark Lords to appear not so visually monstrous, fiendly even. This is noteworthy because, as evidenced by Archlord Zerato and Darklord Zerato, the visage of Dark Lords get twisted during their transformative descent. And yes, while Ixchel's wings, accents, and attire are darker than characteristics for denizens of the Sanctuary of the Sky, she doesn't appear to have fallen as hard as her fellow Dark Lords, like Desire or Nastin. Ultimately, this adds to her sense of mystery. She's a Dark Lord, but is she evil? She doesn't look evil, maybe a little tired. Perhaps along her tenure in the Duel Monsters realms of sacred and profane, she gained a new perspective. Some hidden knowledge from the shadows of reality that conform to neither light nor dark, or that's all a trick, and we're being taken in by her amiable demeanor. What's clear is her power, and the vast question mark of her motives and history to help build her into the Dark Lord's own resident Femme Fatale. You could argue that Condemned Dark Lord could compete for this title, and that former Solemn Maiden of the Sanctuary's morally unaligned quest to obtain forbidden knowledge marks her as both ambitious and dangerous. But we've seen little evidence of the Condemned Dark Lord's trickery, which is a facet of the archetypal Femme Fatale. We see her power in Forbidden Droplet, but interpreting the art we have, her rationale and goals seem quite clear. Above all else, she desires first knowledge, and later revenge against the entity that struck her down for wanting what he had, enlightenment and power. Ixchel occupies a more subtle role in the Dark Lord decks, behind the scenes. She can discard herself and another Dark Lord to draw 2. This serves the dual purpose of pulling more cards from your deck while setting up your graveyard plays. Many of the Dark Lord monsters have a quick effect that lets them apply the effect of the Dark Lord spell or trap by paying 1000 life points and shuffling the targeted card from the graveyard back. This means that by discarding a card like Dark Lord Banishment for Ixchel's effect, you can both draw 2 and activate Banishment to search another Dark World card after you put a monster on the field. This even works with trap cards, which, while normally slow, can be activated same turn with this effect, which is pretty cool. Darklord Ixchel's potential nefarious nature can be glimpsed by the inspiration she takes from Ixtab, a Yucatec Mayan goddess of suicide by hanging. Tasked with guiding lost souls to the afterlife, Ixchel is kinda similar in that by powering Darklord draws, she guides games to their inevitable end. The archetypal Femme Fatale shares a lot of thematic ground with that of the Vampiress. Alluring and deadly both charm their prey into perilous stances that end in destruction, oft as not. This connection is so strong that Femme Fatale characters from the 20th century American cinema were often referred to as vamps with the nickname coming from The Vampire, a famous 1897 painting from artist Philip Burne-Jones. With this bit of history in mind, the number 5 spot on this list easily goes to Vampire Vamp, a level 7 dark zombie with 2000 attack and defense. This Vamp has been stalking the shadows of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG since the release of Primal Origin, a set from 2014. Vampire Vamp's Femme Fatale qualities are reinforced by her effect, which is that once per turn, when she or another vampire monster is normal summoned, she can target an opposing monster with more attack and steal them as an equip card. While equipped, this seduced monster increases Vampire Vamp's attack points by an amount equal to her own. This effect is thematically interesting on a number of levels. While there is the foundational snare of an enemy monster getting stolen away to serve Vampire Vamp's nefarious ends, I think it's worth considering how she can only target monsters stronger than she is. In a way, this suggests an alternate definition of strength. Vampire Vamp makes a mockery of allegedly more powerful creatures, because despite lacking the muscle to beat over them, they are still putty in her hands. The supposed strength that would let them defeat a lone Vampire Vamp in battle is actually what makes them vulnerable to her subversion. If strength is the ability to accomplish one's goals, Vampire Vamp is stronger than Five-Headed Dragon. And let's talk about that card art. It's not an accident that Vampire Vamp is depicted sitting confidently on an unmade bed. This evokes the role of the vampiric temptress, itself a mirror held up to an unbalanced society's fear of the influence conferred by desire. There's an almost supernaturally fatalistic aspect to the Femme Fatale's charms. Inevitably, events will proceed as she intends, all matters put to bed. Competitively, there's not much to say about Vampire Vamp, however. She didn't do so hot other than in Duel Links. And at number 4 on this list, we have IP Masqerena, a Link 2 Dark Cybers with 800 attack that requires 2 generic non-link monsters as materials. First infiltrating the TCG scene as part of the 2019's Chaos Impact set, IP Masqerena has been causing trouble ever since, with their quick effect antics to perform a link summon during your opponent's main phase. The monster that's summoned this way by using IP Masqerena as a material cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, making this not only a great way to drain enemy resources by dodging an activation, but also adding a layer of protection to whatever boss you bring out in this way. There's a fun little interplay here between IP Masquerena's name and its lingering defensive effect. IP Masqerena is a nod to the act of IP masquerading, an online privacy technique where the personal internet protocol address of a private user is hidden behind another, usually public-facing IP. This grants the user's identity a bit of protection by pretending to be someone else, which is kind of like how IP Masqerena can call in another card and shield it against effect destruction. Competitively, IP Masqerena is really good. She lets you react to your opponent's plays without immediately revealing your counter, although commonly IP Masqerena will extend into someone from the Nightmare Suite, making use of their on-summon removal effects. She appears on her motorbike in the artwork of Vivid Trail, and on the run from Cybercop S-Force Rappa Chiyomaru and S-Force Chase. And this brings us to the world of IP Masqerena and the extra-dimensional police agency that wants to bring her down. The S-Force, standing for Security Force, bridge time and space to arrest those daring enough to do the same without joining their little club. High-ranking officers like S-Force Platina oversee the patrols and operations from the S-Force Bridgehead, while field agents like Orifist and Chiyomaru hunt oppositional persons of interest, like Time Thief Redoer and IP Masqerena. They even have a little solo story in Master Duel where Chiyomaru introduces the new recruit to the strategic ins and outs of the control-oriented S-Force deck. During this training period, we learned the actual goals of the S-Force are highly classified, and known only to members of clearance, like Platina and S-Force Professor D. Gamma. While probably true that not all who run afoul of the S-Force have benevolent intentions, it seems likely that more is afoot here than is known to the well-meaning pawns like S-Force Rappa Chiyomaru. In a development of a story that is still developing, we seem to have been given a resolution to the events depicted in S-Force Chase. The card, SP Little Knight, is Chiyomaru without her S-Force branding. She has defected to Team Masqerena? Has she been subverted by the Duel Monster world's bubbliest hacker? Maybe. Or maybe what we have here is a new take on the Femme Fatale. While the traditional Femme Fatale of yore is self-serving, a huge part of what makes individual examples of the Femme Fatale compelling is their individuality, the ways in which they depart from the mold of the trope. Masqerena influencing Chiyomaru to drop out of Space Police Academy and cloak her new identity by reinterpreting the first 2 kanji of her name, Chi and Ya, into the literal translation Little and Night, could be simultaneously self and other serving. This story isn't done. And just like the S-Forces, we'll have to keep tabs on the situation so we don't miss what happens next. The number 3 Femme Fatale on this list likes her vodka martinis shaken and not stirred, and her name is Misty, SPYGAL Misty, a level 4 dark spellcaster from 2017's Raging Tempest with 1500 attack and 1600 defense. SPYGAL Misty draws inspiration from the famous cinema spy based on the books of Ian Fleming, James Bond. In pretty much every James Bond movie, there's a beguiling woman who can be ally, adversary, or love interest, with the boundaries between each role sometimes murky and sometimes non-existent. A common thread is that often they are not directly aligned with Agent 007, perhaps a part of a rival intelligence agency, or even occupying a position in the enemy's camp, an aloof quality SPYGAL Misty shares, since she's not actually part of the Spiral archetype. First released in 2016 set The Dark Illusion, the Spirals are an organization of clandestine operatives directed by the intrepid Spiral Master Plan. This line of cards is full of spy movie tropes and references to James Bond and Metal Gear franchises. Of course, not being part of the Spiral archetype is kinda bad news for Misty, since she can't be searched by Spiral Resort or interact with other support, like Spiral Mission Assault, Spiral Gear Big Red, and more. But then, this might be fitting. You can't revive SPYGAL Misty with Spiral Mission Rescue, but maybe that's because not all Bond women live to see the end of their movie. Anyway, the Spiral playstyles focused around using their gears to perform reconnaissance on the top cards of your opponent's deck, seeing and stacking their next draws. Just manipulating your opponent's top deck is already pretty great, but on top of this, by correctly naming the category of their next draw as a spell, monster, or trap, Spiral and Gal cards like Tough, Misty, Super Agent, Double Helix are able to use their powerful effects. On summon, SPYGAL Misty can access this check, and then if you have the necessary intel or instinct to perform a successful guess, you get to draw a card. Her other effect doesn't require the check, and can be resolved once per turn during either player's turn. By targeting a Spiral Super Agent you control and a monster your opponent controls, you can bounce both cards back to the hand. This effect plays into the branching allegiances of Agent Bond's paramours. This can assist your Super Agent by both clearing him from danger and readying him to activate his hand effect, but it could also be interpreted as sacrificing your Super Agent on the field to further SPYGAL Misty's personal agenda. Hope everyone has liked the vid and subscribed to the Live Twin channel, because spot number 2 goes to both 2 monsters and 1, Evil Twins Ki-sikil and Lil-la. This level 8 Dark Fiend has 2200 attack and defense, and is the together form of the 2 links, Evil Twins Ki-sikil and Evil Twin Lil-la, who both have 1100 attack. So it's kind of like Evil Twins Ki-sikil and Lil-la have their combined stats. This card debuted alongside their individual forms in this same set, Genesis Impact of December 2020, and duelists have been constantly on guard for the V2B Twins antics ever since. While Evil Twins Ki-sikil and Lil-la cannot be normal summoned or set, they can be special summoned from hand or grave by 2 Link 2 monsters in that direction. On special summon, they're terrible to enact their effect to force an opponent that controls 3 or more cards to send things to the graveyard so they only have 2 total. While this effect can only be used once per turn, Evil Twins Ki-sikil and Lil-la always gains 2200 attack and defense, while both Ki-sikil and Lil-la monsters are contained in your grave. So the way the whole Ki-sikil and Lil-la thing works is that when you normal summon either Live Twin Ki-sikil or Live Twin Lil-la, while you don't control a version of the other one, you can summon that Live Twin monster from your deck. This gives you the materials necessary to link into the Evil Twin. While you control one named twin but not the other, the Evil Twins can revive the live or evil forms of their partner. This means that if you link into Evil Twin Ki-sikil, you can then revive Live Twin Lil-la, which gives the materials to link into Evil Twin Lil-la, who can then revive Evil Twin Ki-sikil back. And then, when an Evil Twin monster is summoned while you control the opposite twin, they get access to their other effects. Evil Twin Ki-sikil lets you draw a card, and Evil Twin Lil-la destroys one. Now, that's a lot of tagging out and shuffling around, but the observant will note that by having both Evil Twin Ki-sikil and Evil Twin Lil-la on the field, you have gathered the necessary materials to special summon a 4400 copy of Evil Twins Ki-sikil and Lil-la. That's pretty good and all, although the sad truth is that most live/Evil Twin players would rather have the evil links than their main deck duo, because Evil Twins Ki-sikil and Lil-la has no quick effect, and the links let you react and interrupt your opponent during their turn. Still, it's cute that there's a card to represent them together, a trend that continues with their spell and trap support. Evil Twin Challenge and Evil Twin GG Easy show the 2 flitting about town, and Evil Twin Present reinforces their cyber femme fatale impressions by supposedly gifting your opponent something good that will actually hinder them in the long run. And let's dig into that. Present can only be activated while you control a Ki-sikil or Lil-la monster, and lets you choose between two effects. Your first choice is to shuffle an opponent's set card into the deck, which can be nice, but is for sure the less interesting effect. The second and cooler thing you can do is switch control of one of your evil twins with a targeted monster. Quintet Magician has a ton of attack and can't be destroyed by card effects, attributed as costs, or super polyed away, but it can be stolen with Evil Twin Present. And there's actually more. By clearing one evil twin from your field, you've made space to revive a copy of the donated twin to activate their effect. Anyway, that's pretty cool and very devious of them. Like all good femme fatales, the girls have plans and are acting upon them. Here within the halls of sparkly splendor that brim with haunted furniture languish the ladies of the estate. Lovely Labrynth of the Silver Castle, and Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle. These level 8 Dark Fiends have stat lines of 2900 attack, 1900 defense, and 3000 attack and 2900 defense respectively, with Lovely releasing first in 2022's Tactical Master Set, and Lady joining the game 2 months later in Darkwing Blast. And it's in their names. These are lovely ladies. But don't let the looks deceive you. Their realm is one of tricks and traps and danger. That's actually what this whole archetype is about. Traps. Welcome Labrynth lets you special summon a Labrynth monster from your deck. Big Welcome Labrynth does the same, but includes hand and graveyard at the cost of bouncing back a monster you control. Stove, Torby, and Chandelier can both discard themselves and another card to set Labrynth traps like the 2 welcomes from deck, and Kuklok can discard itself to let you activate a trap on the same turn that it's set. This makes it really easy to get both Lovely and Lady out from deck and onto the field. But there's actually more, because Lady can special summon herself from the hand if a Labrynth or trap effect has been activated previously the turn. So you can summon her from deck or grave with Big Welcome Labrynth, use her as the bounce back cost, and then summon her again with her own effect. And that's not all these cards do. Lovely can set up a normal trap from grave. It can only be activated while you control a fiend, but Welcome Labrynth already locks you into fiends from the extra deck, so you're probably running a lot of them anyway. When a normal trap is activated while Lady Labrynth is on the field, you can set a normal trap with a different name from deck. And if a monster leaves the field by the effect of a normal trap, Lovely Lady can destroy a card in your opponent's field or at random from their hand. And you can trigger this with the self-bounce of Big Welcome Labrynth. These are also just their activated effects. On top of all of this, both carry defensive passives. Lovely Lady of the Silver Castle makes your opponent unable to react to normal trap activations, and while you control a set card, Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle is immune to both effects destruction and targeting. These two delightfully sadistic femme fatales have tons of tricks up their sleeves, and they're happy to inflict them upon the Labrynth Knight, a figure depicted in the art of Welcome Labrynth, Labrynth Barrage, and Fair Welcome Labrynth. But even as the knight evades their schemes and snares, the ladies of Labrynth seem to hold a degree of affection for their guest. In the bottom corner of lovely Labrynth of the Silver Castle's artwork, you can see a chibi doll of the knight. It's cute. And while trap cards generally fall off compared to spells, Labrynth has the tools to change that. From excellent search and recursion to powerful activations, they take a mechanic that is generally very slow and difficult to use from janky to oppressive. And their competitive shadow as complicated decks you have to plan for has loomed over many events. Some femme fatales in this list were thematic fits, like Ruin, Queen of Oblivion. Some have one really good trick that makes them a strong enough presence to earn a spot, like IP Masqerena. Lovely and Lady Labrynth of the Silver Castle take high marks in both categories. They're both plotting plots within plots and swirling sabers while maintaining elegant dress, and for that take the #1 spot and do so in fashion. Alright, and that's the list. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is full of aloof, beguiling feminine monsters. So if I forgot your girl, let me know in the comments. Also, if you have other ideas for future videos just like this one, please let us know too.